Sometimes it is pretty easy to take for granted the ease of access to any kind of information anywhere and anytime. All it takes is just popping up the Google app and tapping away a few words, and then you're presented with an especially organized and prioritized information. Well, we got all of that thanks to the legendary minds behind Google, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, and their colleagues when they wrote a technical report for Stanford Info Lab back in 1999. Well, in a real-world scenario, when we make a Google search for, say, the new iPhone, Apple's own official website is the first to be shown in the list of web pages, and followed by that are the other news sources that write articles, including rumors, prices, release dates, and specs. TechRadar, a rather respectable tech news source, then references the price, news, and leaked tech specs from the sources such as Apple's own website. A similar trend can be seen in articles and blogs referencing the information about the new iPhone that depends on one another to gather up the resources from sources like TechRadar. Well, the whole gist of the PageRank system is based on the importance of your page is dictated by the importance of pages linked to it. First, to picture this so-called PageRank system, I want you to relate this concept to a concept of friendship. I've prepared a very small representation of the internet web pages and how their connections are to one another. Well, the PageRank of A is governed by the PageRank of the secondary pages and the number of pages that secondary page link out to. Next, it is determined by the secondary page that becomes more important to the primary one when more pages are linked to it, while it becomes less important as it links out to more pages. And the whole PageRank score is set to not exceed number 1. So here's a little formula to represent that concept. The PR of PageRank of page A is therefore the PageRank value of page A. Each page has a notion of its own self-importance, like PR of B, C, and D. The number of outlinks is then denoted by a function of L. Since page B links out to 2 pages in total, one of which is page A, page C links to only page A, and page D links to 3 pages in total, we can plug the numbers in and come up with this representation. Now remember how I told you to picture these connections as friendship? Now imagine if you have 3 friends, B, C, and D. B has 2 friends, and one of them is you, A. C has you as his only friend, while D on the other hand has 3 friends. You see, the more friends you have, the less time they can dedicate for you. In that sense, more outgoing links the secondary pages have, the less significant it is to the primary page. Now when we put all of this concept into a picture, and try to keep it below the number 1, we can come up with this equation. All these fractions of scores earned from the secondary pages are then added up together. But to stop each scores from having too much influence on our primary page, the total score is damped down by multiplying by 0.85, which is the conventional value of the damping factor represented by D. By adding the whole summation of the PageRank scores earned from the secondary sites and multiplying it to the D, and adding it to 1 minus D, we can keep the whole PageRank score of A below number 1. And everything can be summarized by this formula. Well, what does all of this mean? So I would like to show you a representation in the form of a graph through this Desmos representation that slims down the complicated connection between web pages to only between page A and page B. The red line is the PageRank scored page A earned from page B, which we will assign as 0.5 as a PageRank score of page B. Since page B has total of 2 outlinks, one of which is page A, half of its worth is then dedicated to page A. Plugging these values in, we notice an exponential decay graph. The intersection of both graphs then dictates the PageRank score that page A earned from page B. It is clear that the more outlinks page B has, the less contribution it makes to PageRank of page A. However, in reality, when pages links or cites to more pages, it is no denial that the page is supposedly more trustworthy. Just like how your high school research paper sounds more legit when it cites more reputable sources that specializes in different topics. In that sense, I come up with my own original value that I want to call the degree of reputability that can be achieved by integrating the PageRank formula and adding one to it so that it would start at 100%. So from the graph, we can see that the more outlinks or citations were made, the more reputable the site generally becomes. However, at the cost of a reduced PageRank score. But is it worth it? Now, if we establish a relationship between the PageRank score and the degree of reputability by multiplying the values together, we can see through the green graph that depicts the net gain of the outgoing more sources from the graph. If there are more than 10 pages cited, passing the minimum point, the value of net gain begins increasing once again. Therefore, the more outlinks, the less impact secondary page has on the primary one. However, after a certain threshold, the page's increase in reputability will outweigh the reduced page rank and making the trade-off worth it. In conclusion, so in the end of the day, what does all of this mean to you? Well, that depends. For a search engine service provider, PageRank is essentially the fundamental concept that built the foundation to determine what's more important and relevant to people making search queries. For online news sources and journalists, or people trying to build their presence online, the understanding of how PageRank values their sites make them more selective of the amount and quality of their sources, which translates to their reputability of the content. And for every one of us who uses the internet to find answers to whatever questions we have in mind, PageRank saves time and effort required while serving us more accurate, up-to-date and high-quality information. So if you happen to be interested in creating a website of your own and want to bring it to the first page of Google, try weighing your decisions by checking out the graph representation of PageRank score and the degree of reputability using the link posted in the descriptions down below.